Hello and welcome back to the ethanol review. Today's going to be a bit different. We're not just going to do a cocktail, I'm also going to talk about theory behind why the cocktail tastes the way it does, the mechanics of what it is about this drink or all of these drinks that make them good consistently. See you in the episode. First of all, today the cocktail we're gonna feature is called a Planter's Punch. This is an old tiki drink that exemplifies, in many ways, the most commonly used ratios used in tiki drinks. So a bit about ratios before we get into that though. Let's talk about a few of the most common, powerful ratios you can use in cocktail making. 2-1-1. That is 2 parts strong, 1 part sweet, 1 part sour. This is the gimlet, this is the daiquiri, this is the whiskey sour. So you're basically trading out different ingredients, but keeping a pretty similar ratio of that 2-1-1. And you're gonna end up with a pretty good drink regardless of what those specific ingredients are. Now, it's not that simple, but think of this as a platform from which you start to formulate recipes. Another very popular ratio, golden ratio, is 1-to-1-to-1 or equal parts. So this would be like the Negroni or Boulevardier or White Russian or Corpse Survivor number 2, The Last Word. Even though those have 4 ingredients, it's equal parts. So you can make that work for a golden ratio. The important one today regarding the Planter's Punch, and that's very vital to tiki cocktails, not just tiki though, plenty of other, is 3-2-1. 1-2-3. And so in other words, 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong. And if you're doing the little ditty, it's 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, 3 parts strong, 4 part weak. In that case, it would be the water, the ice, the dilution. So in a lot of classic tiki drinks, not just tiki though, but tiki has a lot of this, you see a lot of it, is this ratio, this 3-to-1 golden ratio. And a Planter's Punch exemplifies this to a T. And you'll see in the build out exactly how that works. Now, before we actually get into it, I need to hurry because my ice is melting. Within these platforms, these golden ratios, there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of movement you can take within that bigger, 30,000 feet up golden ratio. There's lots of little crevices and distinct interplay you can get from different ingredients, different flavor profiles. May be a little bit different quality of sweetness, for example, or different quality of acid. So there's lots of nuance, but generally speaking, these are platforms, these ratios are platforms to start the process of creating your own special, unique cocktail, which happens every day, all the time. So enough about the mechanics, enough about the theory. Let's go ahead and get into the build of this cocktail, which again, we're doing the Planter's Punch. We'll begin with our mixing vessel. This recipe calls for 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1-2. 1 ounce of fresh lime juice, 0.75 ounces of basically a rich Demerara, but we're using rich turbinado instead. Again, this is a 2-to-1 ratio of whatever your sugar is to water. So it's a sweeter simple syrup, rich simple syrup. Next up, this is allspice dram. This is basically an allspice liqueur, comes from the pimento tree, is really popular in Jamaica. It's got a very unique spicing quality to it, and it's found in a lot of different tiki drinks, not just holiday drinks. Anyway, this calls for just a 1/4 ounce. This is pretty strong stuff, allspice dram, but it smells fantastic. Man, it's delicious, and I'm glad that tiki uses it so much. Next up is 3 ounces of a blended aged rum. So this is a very specific rum category that lots of rums fall in, but it's a lot different than, say, an unaged column still, for example. So we're using the Real McCoy 12 year. This is from the guys who do Foursquare. It's fucking delicious. I mean, Foursquare makes great juice. They may have a very outspoken, sometimes a bit negative owner, and I think his name's Seal, but the juice is fucking delicious. So we're using this 12-year. I normally would not use something of this quality in a cocktail because it's great enough to sip neat on its own, and that's the way I normally enjoy it. But of the blended aged rums I have, this is the least expensive, incidentally. So anyways, this is gonna be 3 ounces of your spirit. So again, 3, 2, 1. But if you're thinking about the build right now, you'll see that it doesn't exactly fit 3, 2, 1, but it's pretty close. And that's where the nuances come in. It's very close, actually. So 1 part, we'll say that 1 part is an ounce in this case. 1 part sour, so 1 ounce lime juice, 2 parts sweet. So we have a rich simple syrup, 0.75 ounces, which we'll just call that 1.5 ounces of regular simple syrup, plus the allspice dram is a sweetener as well. So it's basically 1.75 ounces of sweetener in this case. So 1 part sour, 2 parts sweet, almost, that's where the nuance comes in, 3 parts strong, and then the ice is the 4 parts weak. So you see, again, the Planter's Punch is a great example of this golden ratio. So now that I've got all my ingredients in, I'm gonna add my ice. This is gonna be a shake and drink. And I'm gonna give it a pretty good shake because it's got some thicker ingredients. Take a Collins glass, Hawthorne strainer. We're gonna strain it in. Add some more ice. Get a very pretty color. And we're gonna garnish with mint. Get a few sprigs, give it a little slap to wake up the mint. And there you have it, one of the classic ratios, classic cocktails of tiki, but again, applicable in many other ways. Here's the Planter's Punch. Let's give it a try. We'll try it though, for real. Has some layers of flavor, but it is one full drink. It has this very tropical feel to it, but some earthiness underneath and some spice, some boldness, some big character to it. It's not light. I wouldn't call it as refreshing as some of the other drinks I've made, like the last one I made, the Jungle Bird, had a little bit more of a refreshing quality. This is a bit more ominous. This is a bit heavier, a bit fuller, and that probably is in big part to the rum that I chose. There's probably lots of other lighter, less nuanced versions of the same rum category, but it is what I had. This is almost a kind of a challenging tropical brooding cocktail that's very good. I like the Angostura in it. I really think that adds I think it works well with the allspice dram. These have a very earthy, kind of spicy, Christmassy tones, but darker, and that matches up really well with the allspice. It's really good. I have enough to make one more, which is awesome, because I'm gonna make one more. I hope you learned something today. Thank you for joining us. As always, please like and subscribe on YouTube, The Ethanol Review. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them. I'm more than happy to discuss this stuff, and I certainly am still a student. So if you feel like there's something I didn't quite cover correctly or in depth enough, please let me know and we can have a dialogue about it. Otherwise, cheers.